Good morning, MacLaren. Today is April 16th, 2020. I hope you are doing well on this cold morning we have here. If it's your birthday today, happy birthday! I hope you have a great one. So today I want to talk to you about something that I can't see right now, but I've been able to hear all morning. And you might be thinking, Ms. Hooser, are you talking about birds again? Absolutely, I'm talking about birds again. So you might be thinking to yourself, all right, today's the day she's going to talk to us about why she became so fascinated with birds. That's not what I'm going to talk to you about today. However, it has something to do with this little book right here, and someday I will tell you that tale. Or you might be thinking to yourself, maybe she'll talk about all the ornithologists and naturalists that paved the way for this pastime that we love, which is watching birds. And that's not what I'm going to talk about either. However, someday, maybe we'll talk about that. What I'm actually going to talk to you about today is something you can do from inside your house by a window. No, you don't even need these. However, you may find that they are very handy. Today, I'm going to talk to you about how to attract birds to your backyard and how to identify them. The first thing we need to talk about is how to attract birds to your backyard. You may think birds are just going to come no matter what, and that might be true. However, there are a few things you can do to ensure that you will get visitors. First of all, you need to decide, what birds do you want to attract? You may want to attract in the summertime hummingbirds, which then you would need a feeder like this where you would fill up with sugar water. Also, if you're trying to attract hummingbirds, having flowers in your backyard is a good idea. I don't have any flowers in my backyard, therefore I was pretty unsuccessful in attracting them last year. But what I do have is a bird feeder that holds seed. So if you look over here, you can see that I have a hook with a bird feeder that I fill up with seeds. And as you can see, if you have dogs or cats around, likely that's gonna scare birds away. So if you have a lot of outdoor cats, beware. I'm obviously attracting birds that eat seeds. Remember, some birds also eat worms and bugs, so that's not the best way to attract them. As you can see from my feeder there's some really good things about it and there's some not so good things about it. The good thing is that it's near this bush and birds really like to feel protected. Animals are constantly trying to figure out whether they're gonna be eaten, if they need to be afraid of anything. So having some nice habitat where they feel safe can help encourage birds. But what is not good about that placement is that the squirrels can easily get to it too. So I sometimes have to come out here and shoo the squirrels away. So once you have some of these cool key habitats and bird feeders in your backyard, you'll more likely attract birds. All right, now that we've attracted some birds to our yard, we need to figure out how to identify them. And luckily, in this time, there are a lot of great resources you can use to identify birds. For example, I'm fairly old-fashioned and I love having these old books, or rather, this one's pretty new, but books that I can actually look and flip through the pages and learn more about them. I also like to buy a book for every place that I go. So I have one on Panama, and I also have a bird book about Australian birds. There's also a lot of great websites online that you can go to. For example, Cornell has a great website. Audubon Society has a great website that can help you identify birds. There's some also really great apps that you can download to your phone. For example, Cornell has an app called Merlin app, and it has North American birds, European birds, African birds. It is a pretty thorough resource for identifying birds. And the cool thing about that app is all you have to do is put in a few characteristics of the bird you saw, and it'll generate a list of what it thinks you may have seen, which is awesome. Also, there is a bird app called eBird, which a lot of birders like to use. It will keep track of birds you see on each hike. If you are really wanting to keep track of a list of things you see, that is a very good app to use. Now that you have your favorite resource by your side, here are some quick tips on how to quickly identify maybe what type of bird you're seeing outside. So some things you may want to see as you're looking for birds is, what shape is it? Is it small and egg-shaped, or is it large? Is it soaring? Some of these are some characteristics that you can be looking for as you're identifying birds. Also, where are you seeing it? Is it at the feeder? Is it in a bush? Is it climbing a tree? Most likely you're going to see birds such as woodpeckers and creepers and nuthatches climbing trees. So if you're seeing that behavior, it would be easy to narrow down what type of bird you're seeing. Sometimes when you're looking at birds, it's really hard to fully grasp what you're seeing. They're very fast. I know I've been frustrated many times trying to take pictures, trying to identify when you're only getting a second to try and notice something distinguishable about a bird. So some things you can look for quickly is what color is around its face. A lot of birds are characterized by whether they have a black almost eyebrow by its face, or whether it has a crest and what color is that crest. If you can get a glance at those characteristics, that will help you. Also, beak size and beak type is really going to help you narrow what kind of bird you're looking at. For example, finches have a pretty distinguishable beak as they're pretty big because they are used for cracking nuts, whereas our warblers have very small, thin beaks because they like to eat either berries or small insects off of trees. So if you can take a look at the beak, that might also help you kind of narrow down what type of bird you're seeing. There is a group of birds that are very elusive and hard to identify. They are called LBBs, little brown birds. These are our sparrows. So if you're looking at a sparrow, good luck in identifying it. At least if you can characterize that it's a sparrow, you're doing pretty good. One more thing you may notice are its tail feathers. Some tail feathers are really long, they have bands. Some birds will fan out their tail feathers as they're flying, and that can help you distinguish what kind of bird it is. If you can master their calls, that is a sure way of identifying what birds. For example, I've not seen very many birds this morning. However, I have heard a chickadee, I heard a robin, I've heard some dark-eyed juncos, and I even heard a rooster a second ago. So even though I can't see the birds, being able to distinguish their call and identify their calls is also really helpful in identifying them. All right, now you're at the point. You have successfully identified a bird, whatever that bird may be. If you're on the west side of town, maybe it was a scrub jay or a Steller's jay, or even a spotted towhee. And if you're on the east side of town, maybe you got the chance to see a western meadowlark, and that would be really cool. So what should you do with that information? Well, of course you should tell your family what you saw, and I would love to know what you saw as well. But there are a lot of organizations that want to know what birds that you have seen in your backyard. The National Audubon Society does a yearly backyard bird count, and you can participate just by uploading the information that you have acquired while you're observing birds in your backyard. Also, like I mentioned earlier, the eBird app is a great way to input some data that the organization can use to keep track of trends of birds in North America. And finally, there's another really cool app called iNaturalist, and it's not just for birds, but for all life and things that you see. You can actually make observations and upload pictures of what you see at what GPS coordinate, and experts will actually verify whether you saw what you think you saw, which I've actually uploaded a picture once of a hermit thrush, and I got verified that that's indeed what I saw. So I hope this morning has been helpful and encouraging, and maybe giving you an idea of something you can do while you're hanging around outside, and next time you look out your window or hear a bird, maybe you will just be able to identify what it is. Have a great day, MacLaren.